What's going on, everybody, and welcome to this restring video, I guess. This very sort of off-the-cuff, impromptu restring video for my LTD, ESP, LTD, whichever way around it is, Snakebyte. And first things first, as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit sick right now. It's not COVID. I did a COVID test, but I am not in the mood for reacting to songs or doing the usual content, but I'm not one for sitting around. So I figured I'd do a real off-the-cuff restring video because this guitar was sort of staring at me in the corner looking neglected, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And I figured something is better than nothing for you guys, right? So yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about why I'm doing this today. I guess the first thing would be that obviously when you're sick and you're not one for sitting around, like I said, you're looking for things to do. And this guitar has been sat on the wall sort of looking at me for a while now, looking sorry for itself because it doesn't get much use these days. And it kind of makes me feel bad in a way because it's a great guitar and it means a lot to me. So, you know, given the fact I'm not in the mood for making the usual sort of stuff, I figured, well, why not do this on camera, because I haven't really done this before. So I'm not mic'd up. It's not the usual, you know, high quality YouTube video. If this gets literally 3 views, I really don't care. But this is literally just to put something out for you guys. This is all being recorded just off my iPhone. So yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, this guitar doesn't see that much use these days. And I figured that was because it's an E standard guitar and I've always kept it in E standard. So I thought to myself, well, why don't you use it or put it in a tuning rather that you do use a lot of, like D standard and drop C, and maybe you'll get a little bit more use out of it. And yeah, it's just been sat on the wall staring at me. And I kind of feel a little bit guilty as I used to play this guitar a lot. But this video is probably going to be quite shameful when you guys see what comes off the fretboard. Because, like I said, it was probably played a bit and then it was put to one side and it's just literally just been sat there. So when we clean this fretboard, yeah, I'm prepared to be absolutely destroyed by you guys for not looking after my stuff. And if you know me, you know I like to look after my stuff. You know I restring my guitars quite regularly because they get absolutely battered. Oh, excuse me. With work, especially the Charvel behind me. That's my main workhorse for teaching guitar, and that gets played like up to like 12 hours a day sometimes. So that's actually due a restring, but I've got strings in the post for that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this ramble, impromptu video, me just being sick and bored. These were actually only ball strings, but I like the D'Addario stuff a little bit better, especially for thicker strings. I'll show you what I'm using in a sec, or you can probably see them sat there. So we'll get rid of those. Gone. I'm using D'Addario 11 through to 56 gauge strings. And I use that for D standard, drop C, and I can even get a B out of those on certain guitars. This guitar's in pretty good condition. Well, we'll wait and see what comes off the fretboard. You know, it's got no major dinks in it apart from one little mark, and I don't know if you guys can see, and it's so annoying. It's that tiny little mark right there. And basically I was sat at my desk one day teaching, and I had another desk at the time that had a sharp corner on it, and it sort of went like clunk, and I literally hit the side. Now I don't mind the occasional ding on certain guitars, but it's the fact that that is just like so in the middle. It's just, yeah, it's really annoying, and it's because it's like a perfect little round circle as well. It doesn't look like the usual knock you would get, I guess. So I guess the first port of call here, I'm not ready, but it's going to be to have a look at this fretboard. Look at those frets, they're minging. So first things first. Now, everybody's got their own way of doing this. I've always been hesitant to do these videos online because people have got their own way of doing things, and, you know, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. It's like, well, I've been doing it this way for so many years. Look at that. The headstock's not resting on anything. It's off the table. Don't panic. But I know how sort of, I don't want to say gatekeepery people can be, but I know how sort of, you're doing that wrong, or you're going to toast your pickups with the wire wool and stuff like that. And that's always sort of put me off doing this. So if you've got your way and you don't like this, that's fine. I'm far too ill right now to care. But for those of you who don't really know what you're doing with string or guitar care, I should say, maybe this will help you guys out. So first things first, I'm going to sort the frets with wire wool. Now, I know they say you should mask your frets off and stuff like that, but this is like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You know, it's like a metalcore song. It's just zeros. Degree or graded wool. So you don't... I've never found this scratches my fretboards, okay? So, I don't know, maybe if you go up a grade from there, it might scratch it, but this has never, ever damaged my boards. And I've done this for years, you know? But I do cover the pickups, especially because the poles are exposed on these set pickups. So, yeah, there we go. So, what's new? Well... my first single, Red Flag, dropped last week from this video. Oh my God, look at the difference. Look at the difference. Yeah, so this year I decided it was finally time for me to start making solo arts music. And I got in touch with a producer who used to work with a band I was in. And he was like, yeah, if you want to track it from home and send me the stems, let's do it. So the first single, it's actually the first single on an EP that I announced a little while ago. This first single is called Red Flag, and it is out now on all streaming platforms. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. There's a visualizer on YouTube as well if you want to check that out. My God, look at the difference. And I knew what was coming with this. That's why I felt bad. Because it sits on the wall staring at me, neglected. It's like, but I'm getting so unclean and old. You know, so it's time. But, yeah. First single is out. The response has been amazing. If you've not checked it out, link is in the description. I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit sick of that song by this point, because there's been a lot of revisions on it with me on the vocals and stuff like that, and, you know, mixes and stuff, so I've heard it to death by this point. And I just want to get to the new stuff, the rest of the EP. It's all tracked, all recorded, just need to do vocals and get a final mix for those of the songs. Yeah, so if you enjoy metalcore and you like screaming and shouting and stuff like that, with a wall of reverby clean guitar underneath, go check out the new single. And yeah, so the thought process here was, you know, there's a couple of my guitars that need doing, but this one is definitely a guitar that needs a little bit of TLC. BC Rich needs doing. Jackson Rhodes, both of them could probably do the restring as well, but one of them sort of retired, and then my main Jackson Rhodes, the Silver Sparkle, that could do with a restring as well, because that's been played a lot recently. But I was thinking, like, why don't I play this guitar as much anymore? Because at the time when I bought this guitar, it was a bit of a rescue guitar. There's a whole story about that if you go on my Me and My Guitars playlist, and I'll basically summarize it. So basically, a long time ago, I was very, very miserable. Wasn't sick though, like I am now. But I was in a factory job I hated alongside another job. My life was just in this weird sort of transition. I'd just broken up with a girlfriend, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something that makes me happy. So I love Metallica, obviously. I love guitars. So I'm gonna buy a new guitar, and I wanted a white Snakebyte, and I couldn't find one anywhere. However, this was literally sat in the back of a container or something, or a storage room, as B stock. And I contacted the company in the UK and said, like, why is it B stock? Like, what's the reason? Usually they've got bats and dings or whatever on them. And he was like, I'm sat with the guitar now, and I cannot tell you why. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm sat with it now. There's no knocks, no dings, no scratches. It's like, okay. So he sent it out, and I bought it for £1,000 at the time, or maybe just shy of. And the only thing that was wrong with it was the pickups were the wrong way around. So just took those out, switched them around, done. That's the only thing that was wrong with it. So I got a brand new ESP guitar for less than the usual retail price. And it brought me a lot of happiness at the time. It definitely did the job that I was looking for. Okay, that's done the job, hasn't it? Look at those. But here's the real tell now, when we start putting the cleaner and prep on. But yeah, so the guitar, it you know, when it came, it certainly made me, certainly took the edge off of life. And I think that's the point, right? And, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be shameful, I apologize in advance, it's been a while. However, yeah, so then the reason why this guitar gets a little bit neglected as well is it is so uncomfortable to play sat down. Stood up, different story. It's really cool. And if you guys have got an Explorer or you've played an Explorer, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's nothing quite like standing up with an Explorer and you excuse me, feel like Hatfield. You know, or Richie Faulkner, or any of the guys who play Explorers. But yeah, this is so uncomfortable to play sat down. And I can't, you know, I'm not particularly a big guy or anything. So, you know, if I want to play, you know, and I don't want to play stood up, I'll last about, I don't know, 20 minutes with this thing. And it's like, okay, get me my V now. Because it's just so big. I mean, it's huge. I mean, look at the size of Hatfield. You know, so it works for him. Whoa, look at that. That's good old neglect right there. By the way, if you're thinking to yourselves, oh man, you're using a dirty cloth. But it's like, no, I've got assigned cloths for different things. These get washed after I use them. So what you're looking at there is actual stains. This cloth is dedicated to covering pickups and getting, you know, stuff you don't want on it. And then that's the super clean cloth for actually cleaning the guitar. So yeah, that's the process, I guess. Actually, this isn't actually as bad as I thought it would be. I'm pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's still quite rammy, but yeah. So yeah, so that's another reason why this guitar doesn't get played so much. It's just because it's so uncomfortable to sit down with, you know. You guys who know me know I prefer a flying V because my arm isn't all bunched up and I've got room to pick. Whereas this, you know, is ultra bunched up for me. But I thought to myself, you know, if you slap some string, because I don't use E standard tuning much, and so I thought to myself, you know, if you slap some heavy gauge strings on it, well, not heavy, but, you know, tune it down to D, maybe you'll get a little bit more use out of it. And as well, it's making for content in the process, so there we go. We all win. And while we're here and all, if you've made it this far through and you're still watching and you're not bored, thank you. And tell me how you're doing. I want to know. I want to hear from you. Have you listened to the new single? What do you think of it? What's going on in your life right now? What's your guitar cleaning ritual? What's your go-to guitar? How do you look after them? Are you missing the Trivium reactions? I know a lot of people have been asking me for those, and the only reason why I haven't got to those Trivium reactions is I've been promoting Red Flag, my single, so that's kind of taken priority. But I'll get back to them for sure. I put way too much, love, attention, and effort into those to just go, okay, I made it all the way to Court the Dragon, the new single. I've heard all there is to hear. Like, there's so many more. I'm just gonna give this another one of these. There's so many more songs that I want to hear. I want to finish the Shogun album. I want to get through What the Dead Men Say, because that album seems to be the one that I'm intrigued by most at the minute. From what I heard from it anyway. It sounds like the Dark album. And it was around like lockdown, wasn't it, when they did it? So, I don't know, there was just a darkness around that intro track and around the first single. I hope you guys can hear me, by the way, otherwise this video is going to be an absolute waste. But like I said at the beginning, something is better than nothing. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. It's like exercise, even if you just do a little bit. And I, by the way, hate exercise. I hate it. I'm not a gym head. I'm not a, I loathe that. I loathe doing it. And I don't like the whole culture, I've got a buddy who goes and works out. He's like, oh, you're very welcome to come to the gym. And, I'd love it if you came, kind of thing. And it's like, oh boy, the whole culture, thank you first and foremost, but the whole gym culture thing kind of just makes no thank you, along with sports and all that sort of stuff. It's just not for me. So I started doing it at home a little bit. And I was like, well, those days where I don't get a full big workout in and, you're covered in buckets of sweat and stuff, it's like you've done something and that was better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. You can take that into guitar playing. I always encourage my clients and students, little and often, something is better than nothing, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. You can't, get those big 1 hour sit downs in that seldom ever happen, that everybody aspires toward, because, you'll go, okay, that day is going to be for guitar day. I'm going to spend 1 hour, 2 hours. And then we know something pops up. You got to go out, or work gets in the way, or whatever it is, It's just the way it goes. So that's why if you've done 15 minutes the day before in a little gap in your day, that was better than absolutely nothing, So that's my advice on that one as I ramble away. I can't believe I'm sick right now. I just don't get sick. Like, I don't get sick. Why? Because I never leave the house. So if I do, it's very, very infuriating. Now that's coming up clean, but it kind of seems quite smeary to me. I don't know why, but at least the frets are starting to get a bit more shiny. And maybe it's just these lights showing up every little discrepancy. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Oh yeah, I won this, by the way. So over in the UK, we have something called the Postcode Lottery. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, or, you guys in the States have zip codes, right? And basically your postcode goes into a draw, and people win like hundreds of thousands or even millions on it. So 1 month I thought, why not? Just to see what it's about. I'm not really a gambler or anything like that, but I thought, let's give it a go. And, well, I won a cup. It's not the 3.4 million I was hoping for, but I suppose you can't put a price on staying hydrated. And look at this, you know, the little thing comes off and a straw comes out, and you can even drink from here if you want to. You've got options. Look at that. How amazing is that? And you're thinking, well, I'm going to lose that, aren't I? Absolutely not. Check it out. It's a magnet. Huh? Huh? So there you go. How cool is that? Okay. So I guess we're done with the wire wool. Get rid of that. So I guess the next thing would be conditioner. Or do I want to lemon oil that? I think I'm going to go with the lemon oil, you know. It's been a while. And I'm going to be honest. They probably do the same thing, but they encourage you to lemon oil your fretboard, and I know for a fact this has not been lemon oiled in a while. So you don't need to go mad with it. You need to drench your fretboard. Find a clean part of the cloth. Like I said, these do get washed though. Maybe I've even gone a bit too much actually, but hey-ho. The other thing I would encourage you to do as well is if you do, excuse me, if you do lemon oil your fretboard, like, let it sit for like a day or something after you've put your new strings on, because, you know, lemon at the end of the day is acidic and it will rust your strings no matter how much you bed it in. So obviously, you know, I'll get this thing in tune and I'll give it a little bit of a rag once I'm done. But then it's just going to sit and dry out. Look at that. Look how clean and shiny. And you just can't beat, you know, the white Explorer. It just screams Hatfield, doesn't it? You know, when I was a kid, I saw those Seattle 1989 videos with James with his MX220. It's just like, yeah, that's it. I am done. That's the life I want for myself, and it's still the life I want for myself, or at least to own an Explorer. And you know, the Snakebyte's cool. I like it. But you can't beat those MX220s. They're my dream guitar right there, which will probably stay as a dream. Why? Well, because they're discontinued. And they go for like 40 grand when they do pop up on eBay. There. What we saying? Any good? That's not as bad as I thought it would be. Because it's the prep stuff, the Dunlop prep stuff. That's what sort of strips everything off the fretboard. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And that's just classic me right there, getting all anxious and overthinking about something that sat in the corner. I need to get round to that, I need to get round to that, it's going to be wrecked and ruined. And then when you finally sort it, it's actually okay. It's not as bad as you thought, and it was just you in your head about it the entire time. There. Any good? Nice? Shiny? Think so. There. That was quite simple. Right. Fretboard cloth. Done with. So I guess now it would be the body of the guitar. And literally all you need is a cloth for that. And these Dunlop cloths, these microfibers, they're nice. I hope this video isn't boring you guys, but sometimes it's nice to do something that isn't so orchestrated, you know, hey guys, welcome to the channel, you know, with a big intro and scripted and all thought out and entertainment, you know. I am not in the mood for entertaining right now, I can assure you guys that. These pickups I am not a fan of, by the way. A little bit too hot for me. And it was so funny when they dropped. You know, because think about Hetfield's guitar tone. Excuse me. Think about what he's gone for. He dials the gain back on his amps quite a bit, right? And it's his picking hand and the pickups that are driving it. You know, these pickups are really designed to lock in with the sound of his pick attack. And it was so funny when they came out, the amount of people who went, oh, James Hetfield pickups, you know, and they go and strip their pickups out their guitars and they put them in and they went, you know, they plug them into the same setup, like a, you know, a PV6505 with a tube screamer, you know, all gamed up, and it's like, whoa, swarm of bees, you know. And it's like, yeah, man, they're not, these are the game, you know. Dial your game back on your amp and you'll get more out of them. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I would say this guy right here is the best clean sounding, one of the best clean sounding pickups I've had. And this is actually one of the best clean sounding guitars I've had. So I've used this for more like chill ambient stuff than I have with metal stuff, believe it or not. But this guitar's been around prior to my channel, prior to any of that, and did a few Metallica covers on it when I was first starting out and stuff like that. But it does look, you know, it might not be my favorite guitar that I've got, not by a long shot, but I mean, it does look incredible, right? And being such a huge Metallica fan and all that, it was always going to be a special thing for me to own a James Hetfield guitar one day, you know? So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, it's where I come from, you know, and I think it's important to remember where you come from. And anybody will tell you growing up, excuse me, Jazz was the Metallica guy. Excuse me. You know, just like I was married to that band. You know. So in terms of like body cleaning stuff, I've got this this Dunlop 65 guitar polishing cleaner. I'll do a little bit of it. But to be honest with you, I think it's so unnecessary. I don't think it does much. It's not necessary at all. And if anything, it kind of sits on your finish a little bit, especially on the back of the neck, and you can sort of feel it for a while. So yeah, I don't want to go too overboard with it, but for the video's sake, you know, it might just bring it up a bit better. But yeah, on the back of the neck, you can, if you put it on the back of the neck, especially on a gloss finish, it just kind of sits on it. It doesn't rub in, right? It just sits there. So then you can kind of feel it. So now I've kind of flipped the cloth over. I'll give the neck a wipe down. There, clean, I think. Cool, right, next. Okay, so maybe this will encourage me to play the guitar a bit more. Or this guitar, that is. I've never ever had lower strings on this, and I think you get kind of stuck in your head a little bit you know, like, oh, this guitar has to be for that, and this guitar has to be for that, you know? It's like, well, it's a Metallica guitar, it's got to be for E standard, right? It's like, well, no, have it for what you want it for, you know? So let's give this a go. And there's one thing I will say about the stringing, by the way. But right, so many years ago I had this set up. As a matter of fact, when I got it, when I rescued it, I had it set up. The guy who set it up did this weird thing, and I don't, only the most observant of you will have noticed this over the years, because this has been a thing that's happened for so many years. Or rather, this has been a thing that's been in place for many years. Sorry, I'm not thinking while I speak here, I'm concentrating too much. And it's one of those things where I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You'll see what I'm talking about. But it's something, because I've always done it, and because I was told to do it and it came that way, it's just like I've always done it. And I don't want to change it. And I'll show you, literally, after I get the purple and silver through. So it's purple, and that's silver. Right. So when I got this, the guy who set it up, he basically said that the goal here is to have the strings as straight as possible for tuning factors and stuff like that, which I 100% agree with, you know. However, I think it's the middle two strings, like he says you should put them through and go the other way around to what you would do on a normal six-sided headstock. And when I've looked at other guitars or other ones of these, I don't think I've ever seen that being done. But because I think maybe he cut the nut in a certain way or whatever, I've just always done it. So I don't want to mess with the formula because I know the guitar is absolutely fine. So it's one of those where it's like, if somebody asked me, you know, why do you do that? I'd be like, well, I don't know, actually. It's just what I was told to do, you know? Get rid of that. These are short, aren't they? Yeah, okay. Oops. So yeah, I don't know what to do. Should we mess with the algorithm today? Should we change it? Should we just go for like normal, or? Because like I said, I think he cut the nut on an angle to make sure they go off straight into the hole or something. I don't know what he did. All I know is I've never had any issues with this, and I knew this would be the hard part of the video, because usually I'm flipping the guitar around and all sorts to do this part. Right, well that's one. And I'm just gonna check the camera just to see if you guys can actually see what I'm doing back here. And the answer is no. So let me move this back a bit. Ugh. This is like a really inconvenient way of doing this. Hopefully that's a little bit better in shot for you guys. Hey, what did I say though? This is a minimum effort video. The whole point here is to get my mind off of being sick. But I've taken all my vitamins and stuff this morning. I need this to be propped up a bit more. Here we go. Try it. Ah, there you go, and that's better. Okay. And just keeping an eye on the camera, so hopefully you guys can see what's going on here. With stringing, I've always just kind of gone by feel. You know, It's one of those where, you know, when you just know your guitars, you don't really have to think about it too much. I much prefer these shorter machine heads as well, so you don't have to worry about wrapping loads and loads of slack around them. I don't care how cool you think you are, trim the top of your headstocks when you do them, cut them down. Right, so I think maybe I should have took a picture beforehand. I think this is where like he angled it, so like the rest of them go down now. Like, I just genuinely don't know the reason. I don't know why, but I don't want to mess with it. Sense would say, oh yes, you always do it that way in a 6-a-side headstock. But now, and to be honest with you guys, you know, if I was here sat alone, I'd go, well, I'll just do what I've always done. But because I'm on camera, I'm going to have people saying like, why are you doing that? You know? So I just don't know. It's like, if I look at the nut there, the angle is so that it goes through the top rather than going down and then up, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to stick to what I've always done. Screw it. It can be one of life's great mysteries. I've never had a problem with this guitar. So there we go. I know it's not normal, and I would never do this on any of my other guitars, but it's just because it's what I've always done. Go figure. If it's not broke, do not fix it. I'm gonna wind it up with that, am I? And if you like, by the way, this sort of off-the-cuff chill video, let me know. Excuse me. Let me know, and if you want me to do more. You know, I don't necessarily have to be sick to do these. And it's just typical, because I'm supposed to be going away this weekend. But I don't want to pass on whatever I've got. However, I did a COVID test this morning. It's not that. And it was one of those tests that flag it if you've got flu as well. And I've not got flu either. So there's a load off my mind. Which way do these go? This way. Just remember when you know, if you've got locking tuners, you don't need to like strip them when you're locking them. Just nice and tight, nice and the word is escaping me. Just snug, basically, would be the word. There we go. 2 to go in this weird upside down fashion for a traditional headstock. I have got no idea. Go figure. I think I've more than justified it by this point. Hopefully. Although there's always somebody who doesn't watch the whole video and skips ahead and they go, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? It's like when I did the Trivium reaction videos, and you know, I start them off by saying, you know, I don't particularly like Trivium, but you know, I'm here to work with you guys, and let's do it. Like the amount of comments I got, like saying, "Oh yeah, like these guys care whether you like them or not," you know, or like I'm sure they're not losing any sleep over it. And it's like you've clearly not invested time into watching this series and understood my reasoning behind doing these. I'm not here to hate on Trivium and you know, assassinate them. I'm here to listen and see what it is you guys love about this band so much, and then maybe educate you guys on some music theory in the process, right? You know, and decipher the recipe. What makes Trivium Trivium? Well, by this point, it's definitely harmonic minor, that's for sure. Natural minor in there as well, a little bit of Phrygian dominant, but harmonic minor's their big, that's their secret sauce right there. And we're done. An ESP LTD Snakebyte Restring. But and then the other thing is as well, you know, I'm not really in the mood for playing guitar right now. I just kind of want to sit on the sofa and vegetate and watch Alien. Do you guys have a film you watch when you're sick? Like mine would usually be the Alien. It would be Alien and The Shining. They're my Sunday cozy films right there. So now we are all strung. Let's tune this thing up. So I'm gonna do a basic tune up. But then I'll just to stretch the strings in. But then I'll do like a proper one. And I'm sorry if you can hear my stomach rumbling. I must be hungry. Okay. Gosh, I am uncomfortable. Right, so. Right, what we saying, D standard? Is that what we'll go for? Usually when I'm tuning up, I like to at least get like the pick attack right. And usually I'll be sat up doing this. When you're tuning your guitar, always tune to like your pick attack, as if you're actually playing. And I guess the other thing as well is, for the love of God, don't tune like this with it lying down and then expect it to be perfect when you stand up with it, because things do change incrementally. Hang on. See, I've just tuned that to an A. Still in stand-up mode. D, G, C. If you guys are watching this, you guys are super dedicated and I appreciate you. Because I can't imagine anything more boring than sitting watching somebody stretch their strings in and tune their guitar up, rambling. So if you're sat here right now with me on this, well, Wednesday morning right now, you guys are the real ones. And actually, if you're not, I don't blame you. So, oh yeah, just to explain my process, which I guess is sort of the point of this. Stretching the strings in is important because it just makes sure everything is locked in at the top, you know, any sort of give that they might have, you know, just to make sure everything's tight. It's important to really sort of like stretch them in. Okay, so depending on each guitar, I'll give it a couple of rundowns. And it always used to hurt me just using my fingers to stretch the strings in. So I was like, well, why don't you use a cloth? And that's what I'm doing here, just to save my fingers. Never outwards, away from the board, just always side to side. And I'm just sort of doing that sort of crimping motion as I go along the string. Nothing too ridiculous. It's not as sort of brutal as it looks. Not ragging on them. And then when you do that, work your way right up the way along the board. Anything that's loose at the top will settle into place. And then you're able to go back and tune it back. So this is starting to settle now. Always tune up as well, never down, if that makes sense. So for instance, if you go overboard, like let me show you. So if I'm on an F sharp right now and I want an F, so I'll tune it down, but I'll always go lower and then bring it up to the F. Just to maintain the, I bet that's been covering that the entire time. If it has, I'm so sorry. Just to maintain the tension, you know. Well, just so it's stable, basically. So I'll turn the camper on in the background, let that do its thing. Just to make sure everything sounds okay, and give it a quick bit of noise. So at least you guys have got some sort of payoff at the end of this, but then it's going to sit and bed in, settle down, and then always, you know, once you've restrung your guitars and if you've lemon oiled them, let it dry out, let it sit for a bit. Just because you've tuned it up, you know, doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Always tune it before you play. So there you go, stabilized. Right, camper time. Okay, so again, I'm not mic'd up here or anything like that. I'm just, it's the iPhone camera. Minimum effort, quality content, right? So this is actually a first. I don't think I've, you know, well I think I have tuned this guitar down to D before, but I've never really sort of like dedicated it to it. Let's see what we got here. I say about that clean pickup, man? Still needs to bed in with the tuning a little bit. I'm convinced that he just made a wanted to make a great clean sounding pickup. I might need to intonate a little bit. Which I will spare you the displeasure of. Okay, on camera that is. Wow, reverb much? Ooh, and again. Excuse the playing. I can make all the excuses I want for myself, but you guys need to be extra nice to me today. Jug Central. It's funny how when you play this thing, the Metallica style riffage just starts to happen for you. But yeah, it sounds good down in D. I'll think of one more Metallica riff for you and then I'm going. Come on, it's only like your favorite band. Yeah, I'm done. There we go. So that is my very off-the-cuff, unprofessional, non-mic'd, zero effort ESP LTD James Hetfield signature Snakebyte guitar in white Restring. Yeah. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of this stuff, preferably when I'm recovered, please tell me. But if you want me to resume back to normal content, which I will be doing anyway, and you much prefer that, let me know either way. Plugs, Patreon page, go support me over there. Content creators course, if you want to start making Instagram reels and stuff like that. It's like 2.5 hours of me waffling, showing you how to. All of my Valentine guitar lessons, general guitar lessons. If you want in-person guitar lessons for me via Zoom, one-to-one even, I should say, hit me up on Instagram. And yeah, that's it. And I'm going to go get some honey and water and recover. So I hope you guys are well. And thanks for sticking around. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.